I'm going to introduce Judy, who is not a stranger to NYU community outreach events. Judy was diagnosed with breast cancer when she was 44, and you are not 50.
I am.
Really?
Actually,
So you are a young 50. So you're very happy to share your experiences. This is your third year here, and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you all for coming today on this early Saturday morning. Hope everybody's doing well. In my previous talks, I spoke a lot about what I had gone through going through treatment and right after. But this year, I'd like to speak more about what has happened to me as a result of being a survivor. Just to cover the basics, I was diagnosed on September 30th, 2005, and Dr. Axelrod was correct. I will never forget that day. I still remember my first words were, "Should I still go away this weekend?" Kind of funny, and I'm glad I did, by the way, because I was with very good friends. I had a lumpectomy, chemo, and radiation, and I just finished 5 years of tamoxifen in March, and I started Arimidex in April. During that time, I grew into a very proud and strong survivor. It has been a process getting to where I am now, sort of a metamorphosis. I look back at something I wrote the day of my last chemo treatment, and I said I knew something good would come out of this. I just didn't know what it was yet. And I also wrote that I felt like I would become a better person because of this experience. Both of those things happened, as well as so much more. If I had only 2 words to use about the experience, they would be surreal and perspective. Surreal because it never felt like it was happening to me. Somebody, I forgot who it was, described it dreamlike, and definitely was. And also I'm thinking that may be why I still tend to minimize what I did go through. Perspective is because it allowed me to realize that there's almost nothing that I can't handle. I gained so much strength and confidence through this process, and after facing a cancer diagnosis, a lot of the big things seem much smaller, and a lot of the small things seem much bigger. I think that is part of the recipe to happiness. I'll share one of my favorite examples of something so small giving me so much pleasure. I was walking down 3rd Avenue one day, and ahead of me I was getting closer and closer to a couple, maybe in their 60s, and the man had a Cracker Jack box in his hand, and he was taking the prize out, and he handed it to the woman. And I just thought that was the sweetest thing, and I can't stop thinking about it. I'm sure it happened over a year ago already. And I'm glad that I take the time now to actually appreciate and notice those things. Not long after I finished treatment, I realized I had something to give back. I feel like I've been given a gift, something inside of me awakened. I guess maybe I had found my cause. Giving back to the breast cancer community had become very important to me. I also became aware that I had something to give back to the students in Oswego, where I went to school. It is a wonderful feeling to make those connections with the students and share some of the lessons I have learned. I call them my kids, and I'm also very excited and happy that one of them is here today. Over time, I also began to grow as a person. I know that a lot of that growth has happened since I became unemployed July of 2009. The stress in my life was so greatly reduced, and I came to realize that even more of my priorities had changed since my diagnosis. I feel like by simplifying things, I was able to achieve happiness without even having what I used to think I needed to be happy. My desire to give back has since gone beyond the breast cancer community. All of my work, volunteer work, is extremely fulfilling. I really found a home at the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. It is a wonderful organization, and I really love everything I do with them. I have also been working with the Share Breast Cancer Hotline, and I'm anxiously awaiting my next assignment for the Metastatic Breast Cancer Network. Next week, I will be in Oswego for reunion weekend, and it's my second one as a member of the board of directors of the Alumni Association. I'm very excited about that, and I don't think I would have been able to, well, I know I would not have been able to do all of that I've been doing if I had still been working. I mean, come on, why shouldn't I go up to Oswego a day early? And it's my happy place. I get to look at Lake Ontario, which is just a very calming and wonderful influence on me. And I get to see so many people that are great, and I'm looking forward to meeting all the new ones as well. I've become very much at peace with myself. I try not to be concerned with pleasing anybody else besides me. And I used to worry what people thought, and that would be an influence on me. I'm very happy with my life, and as I mentioned earlier, I feel like a lot of it is due to really appreciating and getting pleasure out of the small things. Pardon me while my page is stuck there. The joy and gratification I get from giving back also plays a big part. I try to find the positive in every situation. Sometimes it can be a challenge, but it does really work. It allows me to stay optimistic and self-confident. It amazes me when I think of how I used to be and how I would let the little things really bother me. Now, I only think of them as opportunities for growth. Each day brings the chance of meeting someone new and helping them to have a better day. I value the small interactions with people, and even a conversation I have with someone that I'll never see again can mean a lot to me. People talk about having those pay it forward days. Why do you need a special day for that? I mean, you should be nice to people every day. And I do that every day. And it could be as simple as holding the door for somebody or exchanging a smile. Not only do you make the other person feel good, you feel much better about yourself and enjoy your day much more as well. I also read something that people should laugh once a day. What, are they kidding? Only once a day? I do it multiple times a day. You've got to laugh as much as possible. That helped me get through the whole experience, and it was also a big part of my life before as well. And I find there is a lot to find humor in, especially these days, because if you don't laugh, the alternative is not fun. I even laugh at myself when necessary, and that seems to come quite often. This past weekend, I celebrated with my friends 50-50. That's what we called the weekend, because this was the year that we were turning 50. And we laughed so much, my stomach was killing me like the whole weekend. Do you remember those clown punching bags where it had sand in the bottom, and you would punch in and it would pop back up? Well, I feel like I have become one of those, although when I pop back up stronger than before. I have had a number of annoying and inconvenient things happen to me recently. In the past, I would have gotten all bent out of shape, and now I just try to remain calm. That makes me feel more in control, and I feel stronger and better because of it. Here's a great case in point. In April, it was at 1:15 in the morning, and somebody's pounding on my door, and I find out it's the fire department. And obviously a little panic. They were looking for the source of a fire, and then they left and they came back, and it turned out it was the apartment above and over one from me, and the fireman came in with his little axe or whatever, poked up into the ceiling, and everything came crashing down all into my bathtub and the sink and all this wonderful debris, like burned pieces of wood. And I just tried to make the most of it. Well, make the most of it is kind of hard, but I just try to keep my good attitude. And when the woman from Red Cross came a little later that morning, I even had her laughing. So I thought that was a good thing. I have to say that, I handled the whole situation very well, and I feel that it's the perspective thing coming back at me. because a disaster in my bathroom doesn't quite rank as high as cancer. I'm not afraid to stand up for myself, and I've become very vocal about the things I strongly believe in. Thank you, Facebook, for giving me that outlet. I've become more outgoing socially. I guess I mean that I'll talk to just anybody, pretty much. And I've also approached people that could be considered kind of famous because they're people too, and I've gotten great responses from them. I don't think that it's a coincidence that things seem to go a lot smoother for me now with this kind of attitude. It's really what you make of a situation. One of my mottos is happiness is a choice. And I also found a quote that pretty much sums up how I've been living. Attitude, the difference between ordeal and adventure. I feel lucky that my cancer was caught early and my life was not in danger. That helped me to keep an upbeat attitude about the whole thing. There were obviously some negatives during the process, but those seemed to just fade away from my memory. A couple of things that haven't faded away are some side effects of my treatment. And one is my temperature challenge issue. I have 3 temperatures lately, and it's hot, hotter, and hotter. So I apologize to any of you that may be cold because it just feels wonderful to me. And I guess I would have had some of those things to a degree, no pun intended, if I had gone through menopause naturally. Another thing is that I still suffer from chemo brain. It's hard to explain, but it's very different from just regular memory loss. Sometimes I find myself very confused about something so simple, and it's just a very weird feeling. And there's times where I say or type a totally different word than what I'm thinking of. Just recently, I was talking to somebody about the Mets. I'm a big Met fan. And I was telling the story that, yeah, I saw Gary Carter's first game as a Met. And then later, I guess when I got home, I'm like, oh my goodness, I meant Mike Piazza. How did I say Gary Carter? And the worst part is I can't remember who I was talking to, so I can't even correct myself.
They were both catchers, that's why.
Well, yeah, but that never happened before. I always said Mike Piazza. But the last 4 years, I had participated in one of the big breast cancer walks, and I've been able to raise a lot of money, which I'm very proud of. But I've become quite a bit disillusioned with that particular organization, and I decided not to do their walk this year. I take pride in my fundraising, and it's important for me that I put those efforts towards something that's very important to me. How can I ask my friends and family to support, to support me if I'm not totally committed? This year, I will be raising money for the Metastatic Breast Cancer Network. It means a lot to me to be able to give back to this part of the breast cancer community. More often than not, they do not get the support that they need and deserve. Since I will be creating my own event, I'm still not sure what I'm doing, so if anybody has any suggestions, please see me after the program. When somebody first hears that I'm a breast cancer survivor, the most common reaction is, oh, I'm so sorry. And I immediately say, no, don't worry about it, it's okay. There's so many good things that have come out of it that, you know, I really can't complain. Maybe something would have, something else in my life would have triggered some of these changes, but for me right now, I credit having had cancer. I know that everybody with cancer has a different story, and unfortunately for a lot of those people, they have a much tougher time of it than I did. I always think of them as I try to give back to somebody else who's going through their own cancer journey. It is also why giving back to the metastatic population is so important to me. I hope sometime soon more cancer patients will have a story like mine. This is for you, Chad. I wish you were here, and I want to thank my fellow speakers and all of you.